Right now, you're living the life of someone who settled, someone who convinced themselves that dreams are just distractions and that reality is fixed. But what if I told you that the only thing separating you from your dream life isn't time, money, or circumstances? What if the only barrier is a version of yourself that you've been carrying around like dead weight? You see, there's something nobody wants to admit. We're all walking around as ghosts of who we used to be. Shadows of past decisions, old wounds, and inherited limitations. We've become so comfortable with our own mediocrity that we've forgotten what it feels like to truly be alive. And every single day, we make choices from this diminished version of ourselves, wondering why nothing ever changes. But here's what's really happening. While you're stuck replaying the same patterns, living the same loops, making the same excuses, there's another version of you that exists. Not in some fantasy realm, but in a very real energetic space. A version that never settled, never gave up, never convinced themselves they weren't worthy of everything they desire. And right now, this very moment, that version is trying to reach you. Think about it. Haven't you felt it? Those moments when inspiration strikes out of nowhere. When you suddenly see a possibility so clearly it takes your breath away. When something inside you whispers that you're meant for so much more. That's not your imagination. That's your highest self bleeding through the cracks of your current reality, trying to wake you up. The truth is, you're not broken. You're not behind. You're not missing some secret ingredient that everyone else has. You're just operating from the wrong identity. You're letting a version of yourself make decisions that this version has no business making anymore. It's like trying to drive a Ferrari with the mindset of someone who's never left their hometown. The vehicle is capable of incredible things, but the driver is too scared to even turn the key. Most people spend their entire lives trying to change their circumstances while keeping their identity exactly the same. They want the dream relationship while staying the person who doesn't believe they're lovable. They want financial abundance while maintaining the mindset of someone who thinks money is evil or hard to come by. They want creative success while holding on to the story that they're not talented enough or it's too late to start. But here's where it gets interesting. Your current reality isn't punishment. It's not evidence that your dreams are impossible. Your current reality is simply a perfect reflection of the identity you've been operating from. Everything around you, every relationship, every bank balance, every opportunity or lack thereof, is just the universe showing you exactly who you believe yourself to be. And if you don't like what you see, there's only one solution. You have to fire the version of yourself that created this reality. Not metaphorically, literally. You have to consciously choose to stop being the person who settled for less, who made excuses, who let fear make their decisions. Because as long as that version of you is still in charge, nothing will fundamentally change. This isn't about positive thinking or visualization or any of those surface-level techniques that make you feel good temporarily but don't create lasting transformation. This is about something much deeper. This is about identity archaeology, digging down to the core beliefs, the unconscious patterns, the energetic signature that's been running your life from behind the scenes. You know what's fascinating? The version of you living your dream life doesn't need to figure out how to manifest it. They're already embodying it. They wake up every morning knowing they're worthy of incredible things. They make decisions from abundance, not scarcity. They take aligned action without needing to overcome massive resistance, because resistance only exists when you're trying to be someone you don't believe you can be. But right now, you're probably thinking, This sounds great in theory, but how do I actually become this person? And that's exactly the wrong question. You don't become them. You remember that you've always been them. You just forgot somewhere along the way. You got convinced by other people's limitations. You absorbed society's programming. You let past failures define your future possibilities. The person living your dream life isn't a future version of you. They're the original version of you before the world taught you to shrink, before you learned to play small, before you decided that wanting more made you greedy or unrealistic. That person never left. They've just been buried under layers of conditioning and compromise. Here's what nobody tells you about transformation. It's not about adding something to yourself. It's about subtracting everything that isn't authentically you. It's about peeling away the false identities, the inherited beliefs, the stories you've been telling yourself about what's possible for someone like you. Because underneath all of that noise is someone who knows exactly what they want and isn't afraid to go after it. The version of you living your dream life doesn't negotiate with limitation. They don't spend hours analyzing why something might not work. They don't need external validation to know they're on the right path. They move from a place of inner knowing that what they desire already belongs to them, and they're just closing the gap between where they are and where it's waiting. But here's the kicker. That gap isn't physical. It's not about working harder or learning more or waiting for the right opportunity. The gap is vibrational. It's about aligning your inner state with the reality you want to experience. And the moment you do that, everything starts to shift. Not because you forced it to, but because misalignment can't sustain itself in the presence of clarity. Think about the times in your life when everything flowed effortlessly, when opportunities appeared out of nowhere, when the right people showed up at exactly the right moment. You weren't trying to make those things happen. You were simply being yourself so completely that the universe had no choice but to respond. That's your natural state. That's how life is supposed to feel when you're operating from your authentic identity. So why doesn't it feel that way now? Because somewhere along the line, you started performing instead of being. You started trying to become worthy instead of recognizing that you already were. You started looking outside yourself for permission to want what you want, to be who you are, to live the life that's been calling your name. The version of you living your dream life doesn't need permission from anyone. They don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They don't postpone their happiness until they've achieved certain milestones. They live from the end result, knowing that external circumstances are just a reflection of internal reality. And when your internal reality is aligned with your deepest truth, the external world has to rearrange itself to match. But most people never make this shift because they're addicted to their own story of struggle. They've gotten so used to things being hard that ease feels uncomfortable. They've become so identified with their problems that solving them feels like losing themselves. They'd rather stay stuck in a familiar prison than step into an unfamiliar paradise. This is the moment of choice. Are you ready to fire the version of yourself that's been keeping you small? Are you willing to let go of the comfort of limitation? Because your dream life isn't waiting for you to figure out how to deserve it. It's waiting for you to remember that you already do. The process isn't complicated, but it requires something most people aren't willing to give up: your attachment to who you think you are, your investment in your own limitations, your need to be right about why your dreams aren't possible. Because the moment you release those things, the moment you stop defending your smallness, everything becomes available. Your dream life exists right now in potential form. It's not a fantasy. It's not wishful thinking. It's a parallel reality that becomes available the moment you align with the version of yourself who's already living it. And that alignment doesn't happen through effort. It happens through recognition, through remembering who you really are underneath all the programming and conditioning. The beautiful thing about this process is that it doesn't require you to change anything external first. You don't need to quit your job or end your relationship or move to a different city. You just need to change the identity from which you're operating. Because when you change who you're being, everything else reorganizes itself around that new energy. But here's what you need to understand. The old version of yourself won't go quietly. It will fight for its survival. It will remind you of every time you failed before. It will whisper that you're being unrealistic, that you should be grateful for what you have, that wanting more is selfish. That voice isn't your intuition. That's the voice of conditioning, trying to keep you safe in a cage that was never meant to contain you. The version of you living your dream life knows that safety isn't found in limitation. True safety is found in alignment with your deepest truth, in living so authentically that you become untouchable by external circumstances, because your worth isn't determined by what happens to you, but by who you choose to be regardless of what happens to you. So here's the question that changes everything. If you knew with absolute certainty that you could have any life you wanted, who would you choose to be? Not what would you do or have, but who would you be? Because that person isn't a future possibility. That person is available right now, in this moment, if you're brave enough to step into their shoes. Your dream life isn't something you achieve. It's something you embody. It's not a destination you arrive at someday. It's a frequency you tune into right now. And the moment you make that shift, the moment you choose to operate from your highest possibility instead of your lowest fear, everything changes. Not because you forced it to change, but because you finally stopped blocking what was always trying to emerge through you. Your dream life has been knocking on the door of your consciousness for years. The question is, are you finally ready to let it in? The version of you who has everything you want isn't out there somewhere. They're inside you right now, waiting for you to stop negotiating with mediocrity and start embodying excellence. They're waiting for you to stop asking if you're worthy and start knowing that you are. They're waiting for you to stop trying to become someone new and start remembering who you've always been. This is your moment. This is your choice. This is your invitation to finally step into the life that's been waiting for you all along. Not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when you've overcome all your fears, right now. Because your dream life isn't a reward for becoming perfect. It's the natural result of finally being yourself. The only question left is this. Are you ready to fire the version of yourself that's been running the show? Are you ready to let the real you take the wheel? Because your dream life is one decision away, one shift in identity away, one moment of absolute clarity away from becoming your new reality. And if you've made it this far in this video, if these words are resonating in your bones, then you already know what that decision is. You already know what needs to change. You already know who you need to become. The only thing left is to make the choice, to step into that identity, to live from that frequency, to embody that truth. Because your dream life isn't a dream anymore. It's a decision. And that decision is available to you right now.